The Galactic Federation had never encountered a species quite like humans. Their home planet Terra, with its crushing gravity, extreme temperature variations, and abundance of predatory fauna, had been classified as a death world, a planet so hostile that sentient life should have never evolved there. Commander Rax of the Vosarian fleet stared at the tactical display, mandibles clicking with nervous tension. The human vessel, Indomitable Asterisk, had been cornered in the Cygnus sector after 3 days of pursuit. It was a small scout ship with a crew of only 5, yet it had destroyed 2 of his battle cruisers and damaged 3 others. How? He whispered to his second-in-command, Officer Trull. How do they keep fighting when they're so clearly outmatched? Trull's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a Vosarian expression of uncertainty. Their tactics defy conventional military doctrine, Commander. They're unpredictable. The humans had been refused entry into the Galactic Federation 6 cycles ago. Their biology was deemed too aggressive, their societal structures too chaotic for peaceful integration. When the humans persisted in their expansion into Federation space, war became inevitable. But what should have been a swift suppression had turned into a military nightmare. We have them surrounded, Rax announced to his bridge crew. Prepare to board. I want prisoners for interrogation. The human vessel hung in space, seemingly dormant. Its engines had been damaged in the last exchange, power readings minimal. Victory was finally at hand. As the Vosarian boarding shuttles approached, Officer Trull suddenly straightened in alarm. Commander, they're transmitting something on all frequencies. A surrender message? Rax asked hopefully. No, it's... Trull's voice faltered. It appears to be audio and visual data. The main screen flickered to life, and what the Vosarians saw sent a collective shudder through the bridge. A human face, painted in stark white with black geometric patterns that emphasized the eyes and mouth in a grotesque parody of Vosarian death masks. The human's eyes were unnaturally wide, reflecting light in a predatory gleam. Its mouth stretched into an impossibly wide grin, revealing teeth that had been sharpened to points and painted red to mimic the appearance of fresh blood. Then it began to laugh. The sound cut through the bridge like a physical force, starting low and building to a manic pitch that violated every concept of sanity in Vosarian psychology. Their species had evolved from herd prey. Such displays triggered primal fear responses hardwired into their brains. Cut transmission, Rax ordered, his voice cracking. Before anyone could comply, all lights on the Vosarian vessel dimmed, then began to pulse in a disorienting rhythm synced to the humans' laughter. Emergency alarms blared, then distorted into sounds that mimicked the screams of juvenile Vosarians, a psychological trigger so potent that 2 bridge officers collapsed immediately. They've hacked our systems, Trull shouted over the cacophony. But how? Our firewalls air. The screen split into multiple feeds, each showing a different human from the Indomitable's crew. All wore different variations of the same terrifying face paint. One was slowly running a blade across their own palm, drawing blood without flinching. Another sat completely still except for their head, which rotated at an angle Vosarian necks could not achieve. What are they doing? A young officer whimpered. Are they performing some kind of ritual before death? Rax couldn't answer. His training had never prepared him for this. The Federation's intelligence on humans suggested they were logical beings despite their aggressive tendencies. This behavior defied comprehension. Then the main screen changed again. Now it showed the exterior of the human vessel. The hull was being painted impossibly in the vacuum of space, with red symbols that resembled broken versions of Vosarian script. Crude approximations of the boarding shuttles were depicted being torn apart. Recall the boarding parties immediately, Rax commanded. But it was too late. The human ship suddenly surged with power, far more than their readings had indicated was possible. The vessel's external lights began strobing in a pattern that induced immediate nausea in Vosarian physiology. They were playing dead, Trull realized with horror. All of this, it's just a distraction. The human vessel began to move, not away from the Vosarian fleet as expected, but directly toward the command ship. Their engines left unusual contrails that formed shapes resembling screaming faces when viewed from the Vosarian perspective. Evasive maneuvers, Rax shouted. The human vessel wasn't on a collision course, as they'd initially feared. Instead, it weaved between the Vossarian ships with impossible precision, periodically releasing small objects. Mines? Schral suggested anxiously. No. The sensor officer replied, horrified. They're speakers, broadcasting that, laughter, and other sounds directly against our hulls. The vibrations are matching our resonant frequencies. Throughout the fleet, Vossarian soldiers were incapacitated by fear. Their evolutionary psychology, so different from humans, left them vulnerable to tactics no sentient species had ever considered using in warfare. What the Vossarians didn't understand was that they were experiencing something humans call psychological warfare, something developed over millennia of fighting each other on their death world. To the humans, this was basic training, a standard tactic for creating confusion and breaking morale. The indomitable asterisk, cleared the Vossarian formation, then accelerated away. They could have destroyed more ships, but they'd accomplished their mission, gathering intelligence on Vossarian battle tactics and testing their psychological vulnerabilities. In the debriefing room back on Terra weeks later, Captain Ellis of the indomitable asterisk, finished his report to human high command. The fear display worked better than anticipated, he concluded. Their evolutionary psychology makes them extremely vulnerable to our more theatrical tactics. Admiral Reed nodded thoughtfully. A species that evolved as prey rather than predators. Interesting. Should we try diplomatic channels again? Ellis asked. Now that they understand what they're dealing with. Reed smiled slightly. I think they'll be more receptive this time. Sometimes, Captain, the best way to achieve peace is to show exactly why war would be unwise. Ellis nodded, understanding. Sometimes the most effective weapon wasn't destructive firepower, but the simple demonstration of what humans, shaped by the unforgiving forge of a deaf world, considered basic tactics.